Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Today, we are actually doing a very special episode of My First Horror Movie. Joining me are Zack Francis and Morgan Silva. Zack is the director, co-producer, photographer, co-writer. I could go on and on and on about everything Zack's doing for the new film, fan-made film, My Special Boy. Morgan is the marketing PR manager as well as administrative assistant. How are you guys doing today?
Great.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having us.
Oh, no problem. I've said on the podcast quite often that I am a bigger fan of fan-made films than I am the Hollywood newer versions, because when you guys are doing these, you're doing them for your love of the franchise. You're not trying to bring in a paycheck. You're doing it just because you strictly love what you do. You love this guy right here so much and his mama that you are doing it for the right reasons, you guys. So thank you so much. Zack, before we get started, what can you tell us about My Special Boy and what it means to you and what you guys are doing to really get going on it?
Well, My Special Boy is, like you said, a Friday the 13th fan film of part 2. We as a collective group really enjoyed Sackhead Jason, and we didn't see a lot of fan films doing it, so we decided to just take that leap and do it. We also know that people really enjoyed Hockey Mask Jason, so we thought you might as well get the best of both worlds and have them in the same film. And it kind of gives you a backstory on how he gets his mask from part 2 to part 3, because I know there's a little gap in there. Mm-hmm. It means a lot. Like, you know, we love the franchise as a whole. I'm a big movie maker myself, obviously. It's what I want to do. It's my passion. And I devote all of my time into it and making sure that people really get to watch something that they enjoy and just be in awe of the cinematic shots that Jason deserves.
Yeah, I'm very excited. And what about you, Morgan? How has this been for you? I know that me and you have probably had the most communication out of everybody, which I really appreciate you helping me to set all this up. I was so honored when you guys were agreed to do this. What's this mean to you, and what's this like for you to being a part of this?
Sure. I would say that for the past 3-ish years, I've really dove into this entire community, particularly the horror community. Admittedly, Zack is like the pinnacle of like movie buff, like, you know, loves movies, loves like the nitty gritty, like all the details. I'm just strictly a viewer, and quite honestly, not. I think I joke around with people that in the past 3 years, I've watched like 90% of the movies that I've ever watched in my life. So yeah, but I've been involved with Zack and a lot of other of our co-stars and, you know, co-crew, if you will. And we did a couple of other fan films. So this is, I would say, that the first one that I feel really confident about, because I've definitely done others already. So this is like the first one where I'm like, all right, now I know what we need to do. I'm ready. So, you know, it's really, I just love doing it in general, but yeah.
Right. And Friday the 13th is one of those franchises that has affected all of us as horror fans. I mean, the first Sledgehammer horror thing I ever made was the black Sledgehammer horror hockey mask.
Love
I
it.
mean, it's one of those things that, you know, Jason Voorhees, the mythos around him, Pamela Voorhees, Sackhead Jason, Hockey Mask Jason. It's so iconic that people that have never even seen Friday the 13th know that's Jason. You know, they know that. It's what, to me, it's the big 3 of horror. You know, for our generation, you have the Holy Trinity, which would be the Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Halloween. Those are the 3 big ones. Yeah. And you guys are doing something very special, and you're tackling something that really hasn't been done too much. Like you said, going with Sackhead Jason. When everybody thinks of Jason Voorhees, 99% of people, this is what they think. You know, not a lot of people, you know, even before Scream, if Scream would have never came out, I can't tell you how many people wouldn't know that Pamela Voorhees was the killer in part 1. And Jason didn't even get his mask until part 3 because of Shelley. So for you guys to go in and tackle something that happened in the part 2 era with, you know, Ginny was the best final girl ever. So for you guys to go in to that type of Friday the 13th era is so awesome. And I'm so happy and so excited to do that. Before we get into your guys' first horror movie real quick, I want to let everybody know this is a very special episode. That's why it doesn't have a number on it. We're here trying to help these guys. Click down here on the link. Their Indiegogo's down here. Their social media links are down here. any help will do. Right now, especially during COVID, we know times are very, very tough. These guys are still out there trying to make films to help entertain us. And this year has been a year, especially for all of us, missing the cinema, missing out on big blockbusters where we've come to appreciate more of the fan films. So this is something that make sure you're clicking down here, helping these guys out. I've done it. I hope you'll do the same because they're out there putting their blood, sweat, and tears into this to help make the best possible product that they can make. And it's a fan-made film. They don't got a bunch of suits behind them. So every little bit helps these guys. So thank you in advance if you are willing to help these guys out. So before we get into your guys' first horror movie, anything either one of you would like to add?
Yes, actually, now that you say it, our film that we're doing has a very unique story behind it. It's not just it's a reimagining of part 2, so it's a very different story, different characters, obviously different kills. We wanted to try and diverse away from that story and be very unique and more appealing to our audience. I can promise you guys that I've written the script, and I don't just say that because I'm on it. It's something that we cannot wait to show you guys, and I think you guys are truly going to be blown away by it.
I'm so excited to see this. Just hearing you guys talk about it, it's so exciting. And watching the trailers and stuff, and looking at the packages you guys have on Indiegogo, you guys have a lot of really cool packages. I love the Pamela Voorhees head. I think that's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. So, Morgan, what about you? Anything you'd like to add before we get started?
I think that again, Zach and I are balancing each other out really good right now because from more of a sociological perspective, we can see right now with COVID that big business isn't doing anything for us. It's really, the little guys, it's your neighbors, it's, your mom and pop store that, is kind of merging together, if you will, and helping out the community. And I would say that that's similar in the sense of fan films, and we all appreciate going to the movies. We all appreciate Hollywood for what they've given us thus far, but in some regard, they've let us down. You don't really see them releasing free movies online, like, by the bucket load. No, they're still waiting for us to go back to the movies to make their money. We're not asking anything of anyone. We just want, any little thing that you can donate helps, because at the end of the day, like you said, and I appreciate you saying it, but we're doing this because we love it for the community. So,
And there is no better community out there than the horror community. Something we've talked about a lot on the podcast. You look at the amount of, there's no rom-com con, but you have horror cons. You have people that are willing to take time to make fan-made films. You don't have the fan-made Notebook. I'm sorry I keep poking fun at rom-coms. I love rom-coms.
That's so funny.
It's funny, but it's such a valid argument. Like
it is.
Put it in that perspective. It's a very valid argument.
Yeah.
That's how much horror means to us. I grew up in a video store, so I always gravitated to the horror section. It's something that's always meant so much to me. And my first horror movie started as a party favor. We'd have bonfires, we'd drink, and we'd all talk about our first horror movie. Mine was House from 1986 because I'm a dinosaur. And, it's those things that it's something that we all connect with, that feeling of being scared, that anxiety. And you guys are going to be bringing that back to us. So from me as a fan to you guys creators, thank you for what you're doing. Like I said, I'm a big fan.
It's a true pleasure. It's an honor that you thank us, and we want to be able to give you that same experience that you had when part 2 came out, just modernized.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's such a good way to segue because, like I said, my first horror movie was House. So usually I ask you guys each a question. I'm going to bounce the questions off you guys a little bit. Let's start with you, Morgan. Your first horror movie was?
Children of the Corn.
God, I love it. I can't tell you. I was telling you guys before we started, I grew up in Sand Creek, Michigan, which is literally, FFA, Future Farmers of America town of the world. And I lived right next to a cornfield, and me and my sister would literally play Children of the Corn. Like, she'd run in the corn and I'd be in there like, Outlander, like chasing her. Like, that's the type of shit we did as kids. So
horrifying.
to be able to talk about this movie to me is super awesome. And my third favorite horror movie is Zach's first horror movie. Zach, your first horror movie was?
It was Jaws.
Absolutely. Smile, you son of a bitch. Oh, I love that movie so much.
It's just, it goes down in history as one of my favorite, like, one-liners.
Oh, There's a lot of that movie that is totally improvised.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I love about Jaws so much is the mistakes of that movie are what make it amazing. Like Bruce the shark constantly malfunctioning makes it so
Yep.
you don't see a lot of the shark, which really enhances the anxiety. The drunk speech on the boat, like those guys have been drinking all day and they're wasted trying to, ad lib,
Yep.
I think you're going to need a bigger boat. Like,
I couldn't agree with you more.
Movie, man.
I couldn't agree with you more that not seeing that shark and just its fin, and like you can only imagine what the size of it actually is without seeing it.
Yeah.
It's stress inducing. And it made people afraid to go swimming in the ocean.
It made little Kenny's afraid to go potty. Like,
exactly.
No, water's
and
in there. Sharks are in water. Valid point.
I don't
Argument
blame
over. I win.
I don't blame him. I couldn't agree more.
So, let's start with you this time, Zach. How old were you the first time you had seen Jaws?
Oh boy. I had to have been at least like Kenny age 10, 11, I think.
What a great age to start your horror life, man.
Isn't it actually, fun fact before you go on, I think you'll appreciate this. I actually have the same birthday as Michael Myers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
October 19th.
October 19th. It's funny. Do you know what Michael Myers' middle name is?
No, I don't actually.
Anybody can make the argument, but I say it's fucking. I stick with that. It's just Michael fucking Myers. So, well, happy belated birthday to you, my friend.
Thank you.
So, Morgan, let's go bounce over to you real quick. We're talking Children of the Corn. Which scene from the Children of the Corn affected you the most?
So I don't know, like if it was, I think it was just the essence and of like that's, and I'm not sure like if it's a scene or it's kind of like all the scenes, but when they're going around the town and there's like nobody there, like that freaks me the hell out because I don't know, I feel like that's like, I'm a big reader. I'm a huge reader, like, and I would always get scared shitlessly when it would be like somebody would wake up and be the only person in the world. Like that, like, is a reoccurring nightmare for me. Like, like I don't know, when there's like nobody around and stuff like that, and you're like, oh my God. But yeah, like, I don't know. I think that movie, I watched it again last year last year. And I was like dying laughing because I was just like, wow, I was so freaking scared of this movie. Like scared. But then now I see like the special effects and I'm like, okay.
Right. Well, and it's funny, real quick, before I do know Michael Myers' middle name, it's Audrey. So please don't crucify me, anybody out there that wants to punch me in the throat for saying fucking. But I mean, when you were talking about being the only person left, the scariest short story of all time, there was the last man left on earth in his house. Then there was a knock on the door. Like that's the scariest short story of all time. And I love stuff like that. And you're talking about an argument I have a lot. We talk about practical effects versus CGI. And I'm one of those people that believes as long as you use them both in the right way, they can be done brilliantly. But that again, I grew up watching Children of the Corn, Jaws, House, Friday the 13th. If I saw a movie like Saw when I was 4 or 5, my fucking head would have exploded off my body. So that comes with the territory. Like I showed my son Jaws, he's 12 now. And when he was about 8 or 9, I showed him Jaws and he was just like, this scared you? And I was like, hey, you're grounded. Go to your bedroom.
Yeah, what? I hope you did. Yes, it did actually scare me.
It scared the shit out of me, man. Yeah. Absolutely. So, Zach, I'm going to bounce back over to you. When someone talks about Jaws, what's the first thing that pops into your head?
Suspense. Excitement. Suspense. Because
that's a perfect movie for it.
You're on the boat. You feel like you're on this boat because there's such a chemistry with these actors. So you feel immersed in it, but you also know as the viewer that shark is somewhere. Yeah. So and you don't know when or where it's coming or how powerful it's going to be when it shows up.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. So something I've always said about Jaws too, and this is something I attribute to a lot of my favorite films from the 80s, whether it be Jaws, whether it be Halloween, or even I'm a huge Star Wars fan as well.
My heart. My heart.
Star Wars, Jaws, and Halloween, those movies are so important because of their score as well. Everybody knows the Halloween theme. Everybody knows the Imperial March. Everybody knows the Jaws theme.
Yes.
People that have never seen Jaws, you'll hear them in the water going da 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 da. You know, so to me, like that enhances. It shows how, as a filmmaker, you can do these things that really enhance your film to be taken from the realm of this to this with something as small as a 20-second music loop or something as special as, I don't want to say small, and I don't want to downplay composers because I know a lot of composers and they work their fucking asses off. They work just as hard as anybody else on a film, watching these scenes, dissecting these scenes, and creating the best possible score they can. And I've always said the best score of all time, and people laugh at me for this, Casper the Friendly Ghost, the Devon Sawa version. That film has the best score of any film I've ever seen in my life.
I've never heard someone say that, but I mean, I respect your decision. I don't. That's a tough question. If I was to answer that, but the thing with composing is, you know, if I put Jaws in front of you with no music, it's not going to be as scary because the suspense isn't building. Now, Morgan and I have a friend. His name is Mike Shabani. He's actually our composer on My Special Boy, and I tell him all the time he's modern day John Williams. That's just how it is. He's absolutely amazing at what he does, and he is going to help me and James and everyone else really bring the essence of Jason to the screen.
Sure. Yeah. And again, that's something that can't be understated. What would Freddy Krueger, now look, Nightmare on Elm Street is huge, and I think the Nightmare on Elm Street, the original, is the best horror movie ever made. I think it's the closest thing to perfect you can get in a horror film. But where would that film be without the Sidewalk Girls and the 1-2 Freddy's Coming for You? I mean, how exactly, you know, that is something so small when you think about the grand scheme of that movie, but yet is so big because it's something we all know. We all know that rhyme. Everybody knows that rhyme. Yep. So that's how important this is. You guys as filmmakers, you guys are going to I'm beyond excited for My Special Boy. Like I said, I supported the Indiegogo, and I'm excited to rock some of the stuff I got. Morgan, I'm going to bounce over to you real quick. We're talking Children of the Corn, and I hate saying it like this because it's such a dark way to say it, but what is your favorite kill from that movie? It's kind of hard.
I don't know. I know, like, I don't really know. Because again, you guys are like the horror people. So you guys are like, oh, this is kill 1, this is kill 2. Like, you're getting all hyped about it. I'm just like, oh no, like I'm crying in the corner, like about nothing. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't think that I have like a favorite, which is such a cop out. But yeah, I don't think I have like a favorite. I don't know. Nothing
that's
like
fair.
resonates.
Like I said, that's a really dark way to look at something. Like, oh man, that kill got me so excited. Like, oh, all right.
That's but
you know what's so funny is that, you know, and again, no spoilers, but in our group chat and the guys are talking about the kills, you know, and the things that are gonna happen in our movie, and they're like, whoa, and I'm like, oh my God, like you people are nuts. Like you people are crazy. I'm getting out of this. But they're all like, it's gonna be the best. I'm like, oh my God, like Lord Jesus. Like
yeah. But I mean, it's true. That is something that I hate to sound like a broken record here, but A Nightmare on Elm Street has 4 kills. And when you go by slasher, that's not a high number, but they went quality over quantity. Now you can look at like other movies, especially in the Friday the 13th series towards the end there, where you have a lot of kills, but you don't really have very many memorable ones. So as a horror fan, and Zach, I'm sure agrees with me, kills are something in a horror, especially in a slasher film, that we really look for. We look for ingenuity. And growing up, that's why I didn't like the Halloween series as much, because it was just like Michael see, Michael stab. Whereas Freddy and Jason had, you know, a little bit of uniqueness to their kills. So I'm really excited to see how you guys, you know, portray in My Special Boy, how you take it by the reins and make it your own, especially with the kills. That's something that every horror fan really, really grasps onto, is the brutality of the kills. So I'm very excited to see where you guys go with that.
I will excite you. The film will be probably 95% practical.
Great. Awesome.
We're gonna all practical.
Like I said, I'm not a person that hates CGI.
Right.
I prefer practical, but I don't want to see CGI like in Freddy vs. Jason, for example. I use that a lot. That's one of the worst CGI films I've ever seen in my entire life. And you took two people that really molded my childhood and you fucked their movie up with their CGI. So I agree with you. Practical is definitely the way to go. Look at, again, broken record Ken on Nightmare on Elm Street. Look at The Thing. That's another one. The practical effects of the original Thing.
That movie is the most grotesque thing in the best way possible.
Mm-hmm.
But the practical effects would still run to this day. Like they did it perfectly. It was so disturbing to watch, but it was so like you really felt like you were looking at something gross.
Oh yeah, the two examples I always use about the perfect way to use practical effects are The Thing and An American Werewolf in London.
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, you have to watch An American Werewolf in London. It's
noted. It's on the list. It's already on the list.
It is. If The Notebook was a horror movie, it's An American Werewolf in London, man.
Sign me up.
Practical effects, like it's the best transformation scene ever. Like when he's just holding his hand and it starts to extend out and his body starts. Oh, dude, please, Zach, I'm gonna text you to remind you to watch An American Werewolf in London.
Please do. I don't want to forget, because if The Notebook meets horror, I mean, I'm a sensitive guy. The Notebook was good.
Hey, it still isn't over, man. I get it. Like, I get it, man. I love The Notebook as well. Make fun of me all you want. It's my 5th favorite movie. No, but Zach, I am going to bounce back over to you. We were talking about which scene affected Morgan the most from Children of the Corn. Now, for Jaws, I would like to know what your favorite scene is from Jaws.
Oh man, there's so many like ties. Can I give you a list?
Hit me with it.
I mean, Smile, you son of a bitch, when he just blows it up.
Yes.
Obviously. I really like the dolly zoom scene. That was like the first time you ever saw something like that, and it really like resonates with your emotions. Like it makes you feel off, and you have that same emotion that the character is like feeling, which as a filmmaker and visual storytelling is very remarkable. I gotta say, I think it's the kill where he's just being eaten on the boat as Jaws is just gnawed away, because there's no music. It's just raw. All you hear is the crunches and the screaming, and it's just disturbing in the best way possible.
Yeah, totally amazing. Now, we talked about the film you guys are about to work on. We talked about your guys' first horror movie. Now I'm going to go scream on you. What's your favorite scary movie? I'll start with you, Morgan. What is your favorite horror movie?
Thank God.
You guys will notice I did not send you this question in my list because I want this to be.
You threw a curveball.
I did, because I want this to be a genuine answer. I don't want you to think about it. I want you to just bam. This is my favorite. So, Morgan, your favorite horror movie?
Touche.
I gotta be honest. I feel like it's Silence of the Lamb. I gotta tell you, the first time I ever watched that movie was with English subtitles in Portugal, and I was like, I mean, I'm a subtitle gal anyway, English or not. I love some good subtitles. But I was like mesmerized. Like, and that's definitely my type of horror. You know, it's just like the psychological, just like craziness. Like that scares the absolute shit out of me personally. Like, and I know somebody's gonna like murder me for this, but I'm not too gung ho on like the Halloween where just like he just keeps coming back. I'm just like, maybe it's just me being such a rational person that like my mind can't enjoy it, because I'm like, all right, he should be dead. Like I'm done with this, you know? But I mean, Silence of the Lamb, like I like Lamb or whatever. I can't with that movie.
Oh, and one of the best improv scenes of all time, when him and Jodie Foster, Hannibal Lecter and Jodie Foster, and then he just does like that wasn't part of the script. Like he just did that. And like that part hits you every time you see it. You're just like, you creepy son of a bitch.
Yeah. So
Zach, you actually got a moment to think about it. So your favorite horror movie, Zach?
I'm gonna pick Hereditary.
Ooh.
Hereditary.
Nice.
That film was, in my opinion, a horror masterpiece, because it's got a perfect mix of jump scares. It does psychological horror in the best way possible. The cinematography was flawless. The way the story was told, it threw curveballs, and it kept me on the edge of my seat the entire time, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I dare someone to show me a better acting scene between 3 actors than the dinner scene
You can't.
between mom,
Sorry.
dad, and son in
Sorry,
that film.
you can't. You
No.
can't.
Because of the different range of emotions that they're all going through. And a
Yep.
cool story I have about Hereditary. We actually went and seen that in the cinema, and I a lot of times I don't like to see horror movies in the cinema because I am an asshole. And when people start talking or chewing their popcorn too loud or slurping their drinks, I'm the guy that's like, "Yo, I just paid $15 for this. Shut the hell up." That's why I didn't see A Quiet Place in
We
cinema.
need more people like you.
True.
I remember just being, in the cinema. I don't want to spoil anything, so if you haven't seen Hereditary, mute me for a second. The pool scene. I remember. Unmute me now. I remember everybody in that whole cinema. You just felt everybody go. And I've never in my life been around that many people. We seen it opening night, and I had never been around that many people that had a collective feeling of shock all at one time. And you could literally hear a pin drop, and you could hear people's hearts breaking as he just sat there at the steering wheel going.
That scene was the last thing I was expecting.
Mm-hmm. They're building it up for her to be your quote unquote final girl, And
yeah. And you're rooting for her. You're like, oh, I hope she's okay. Oh my God, she's not.
Mm-hmm. And then of course, for the rest of the movie, you got a bunch of dickheads going.
Yep. Please don't get me started on that. Give me nightmares. It was
assholes. Shut the hell up.
Oh my gosh.
I appreciate you guys coming on here so much. I always end these with the same question. We end them with a skull count. Now we're going to be ranking your first horror movie, 0 being the worst, 5 being the best. You can use half and quarter skulls. Let's start with you, Morgan. What would you rank Children of the Corn 0 to 5 skulls?
I'll give it the laugh factor. Like I'm gonna give it like the laugh factor, and still I prefer like the retro-y kind of horror to the more modern day. So I'll give it a 3, like a 3.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen the remake?
No.
We'll talk about that here in a second. Zach, we're ranking Jaws. What would you rank it 0 to 5 skulls?
I gotta give it a 4.
Perfect.
That's just plain and simple. It's got to be a 4.
I give it 4.5, but like I said, I'm a sucker. The only thing, I've never given anything a perfect ranking because that doesn't exist. There's no such thing as the perfect movie. But I want to remind everybody one more time, make sure you're clicking the links down here in the description, checking this out. Let's get that Sackhead Jason going, man. This is something very special. I'm so excited that you guys allowed me to come into your world and be a part of this. So don't go anywhere. I got a couple more questions for you guys. Everybody else, stay what you are. Keep talking horror, and we'll see you guys soon.